Over the years, Twisted has had its fair share of misconceptions and misunderstood elements. Some of them are as simple as calling things by the wrong name, and others more complex. The goal here is to clear some of these up. While these misconceptions seem small and innocent, which they are also the main annoyances of some longtime players. So, let's get into it. Contrary to popular belief, the TVS icons do not correlate with the enhanced Fujita scale in any way. The TVS icons are there to give you a basic idea of how strong the tornado might be, and can deviate slightly from the reality of the tornado's strength. A pink TVS is 140 miles an hour, compared to an EF5's 201 miles an hour, and a green TVS is 35 miles an hour, which is nowhere close to an EF1's 110. For the rest of the TVS icon color meanings, there's a legend in the corner of the radar that shows them all, and much more useful information on top of that. Oh, and while we're talking about it, I want to clear up the misconception that all slab buildings will get an EF5 rating. The rating can depend on how the building was built, and a slabbed high-rise building will get a much higher rating than the flimsy old barn. Each building has information about how it was built when you go to rate it with the NWS Game Pass. Throughout the history of Twisted, the thermodynamics changing has never affected tornadoes that have already touched down, except for in 1.20, but that's its own thing. On multiple occasions, I've seen people drop out of chases because the new day has terrible thermos, when in reality, storms are still fueled with a high amount of energy, and a tornado can even keep strengthening for many more hours. However, this also means that tornadoes that touch down on a bad risk won't rapidly strengthen whenever a high risk comes through. A common misconception throughout the community is that when it comes to the thermodynamics, everything needs to be higher. This is not the case at all, when in reality a lot of values have sweet spots, and for some you want lower numbers. For example, while yes there are values like SRH where higher is better, sometimes having too much cape can make chases busts. And when there's values like surface RH, which I see people abandon chases all the time for since it's low, but lower surface RH is typically better because of the increased visibility. Of course, having moisture values that are too low is bad, but it still doesn't mean that you should abandon risk entirely. Another very common misconception with thermodynamics has to do with the composites. It is common to think that STP and VTP values are contributors to the performance of a risk, but it's actually quite different. The STP and VTP are there to give you an idea of how a risk will perform. Basically, the way it's calculated is by combining a number of different values that do affect a risk performance and pushing out a number that helps you understand the overall potential of a risk. People commonly believe that the terrain that storms pass over affects the strength and path of a tornado. While this is true in real life, Twisted has no feature for this. While yes, the terrain might affect your ability to chase a tornado, the tornadoes themselves have no effect. And yes, this includes all types of terrain, including flat landscapes, hills, and even water. People spend all their time and energy trying to get into high-risk servers, which sometimes is unnecessary, especially if you're just playing to get money. Oftentimes, especially after a recent patch, a moderate risk and even some good enhanced risk will do the trick. In fact, this has always been a thing. Back in 1.18, my strongest and widest tornado was on a moderate risk. Well, hopefully that cleared up any common confusions about the way Twisted works. And hey, maybe some of you that have been around for longer might have learned something new. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.